lost my hairbrush. I can't film a video about my hairbrush. I guess I'm filming a video about my hairbrush. Because this frizzes up like crazy, man. Gotta like brush it every 5 minutes. Let's see if by the end of this video I look like a pom-pom. But anyways, hi, it's me. Here to talk about my favorite thriller authors. No biggie. So right around when I started BookTube, year and a half ago I guess. Wow, time flies. The first thriller I ever read was An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Pekkanen. However, my favorite thriller I've read, best book of 2019, was The Wife Between Us by the same authors. I loved the whole thing with The Wife Between Us. Like, I give that a 5. The payoff was great. I loved the character. I felt the stakes. I was invested. An Anonymous Girl, I gave a 3.5. Like, I was hooked like the whole ride, but the ending didn't like pay off well. And I gave this one a 3.5 too. 3.5 is like my standard thriller rating. 3.5 means, oh, it's nice. It just has like a few issues. Like, I would recommend it. But if you say you don't like it, then like, yeah, I get your point. This little review is going to have spoilers and non-spoilers. Non-spoiler people, don't worry. All the spoilers are going to be at the back, and you'll definitely see the spoiler warning. But right now, I'll just read you the summary of the book and tell you why you should or shouldn't read it. First, why you should read it. It's blue. Have I sold you yet? You probably know someone like Shay Miller. She wants to find love, but it eludes her. She wants to be fulfilled, but her job is a dead end. She wants to belong, but her life is becoming increasingly isolated. You probably don't know anyone like the Moore sisters. They have an unbreakable circle of friends. They live a life of glamour and perfection. They always get what they desire. Shay thinks she wants their life, but what they really want is hers. Okay, so when I first read that line, what they really want is her life, what I thought this was going to be is a story about like identity theft, something like that. It kinda was, but not the way I was thinking. So we have our main character, Shay. She's living with her roommate, a guy she really likes, like secretly has a crush on and everything, but he's dating this girl who, I think her name is Jody. Jody is stupid, by the way. Hate Jody. Gullible little piece of... She's struggling to find work. She can't find love. Woe is her, but relatable. And we're still in the first chapter here. Everything changes when she witnesses a suicide. Right in front of her. Like no warning. Just bam. Subway car. Body. Trauma. PTSD. Panic! So she begins like obsess over, what's the difference between this girl and me? She looked so happy and I'm just... Ugh. Then she starts like research to who this girl was. She finds out her name, Amanda. She finds out that there's going to be like a memorial service and anyone's welcome, so Shay does go. And that's where she meets the Moore sisters, who were Amanda's best friends. And Shay is just like, wow, glamorized by them. Like they got everything. They're beautiful, they're rich, successful, and they're just so nice too. And they're just surrounded by this giant circle of friends, and Amanda was part of those friends, so the Moore sisters' friends were Amanda's friends too. And as Shay gets to know the Moore sisters more and more, the Moore sisters more and more, ba-bum, more and more, because there's 2 sisters. But as we get to know the Moore sisters more, I can't get around that. As we begin to know the Moore sisters increasingly well, I also get a little insight about their group of friends. One's a lawyer, one's a boutique owner, one's an actor, one's a hacker. So we have like a diverse group of jobs here. Jobs that sound really handy for a certain set of skills. Hacker, actor, lawyer. Like, this kind of sounds like a supervillain team, kinda, doesn't it? And you have the Moore sisters who are in charge of like public relations office or something like that. So they have like access to everyone, their information. So what I was thinking first reading this and hearing like the jobs all these women did in this group, I thought, and it certainly goes this way, that they were like a vigilante group and that they were going to take Shay into their ranks because she's a data researcher, data analysis lady. She's good with numbers. And it's like, ooh, we're gonna like plot some like world domination or something. We're gonna like collapse some economies. What we're gonna do. But however, like always, I was wrong. And you're just gonna have to read the book about what the Moore sisters are cooking up. But I am gonna tell you what I did and didn't like. It is not a spoiler to say the Moore sisters are weird, that they're bad. Literally, chapter 2, they're like right in it. They're covering up the suicide that happened in chapter 1. These girls are up to something. We just gotta figure out what they're up to. Well, I don't, because I already read the book. You do. But what is evident is that Shay, this girl who just coincidentally blundered into their lives, now she's a part of their plans, even though Shay doesn't know she's a pawn now. So my first thing I really like this book is how the villains, the Moore sisters, went about their business. They did it realistically in ways that would be like, oh, yeah, delete all your dating apps, go off the grid, change your name, because you know this day and age, people can get any kind of information anywhere. Like, they knew things about Shay that probably her mom didn't even know. Because they had all the right connections, all the right people to do their spying. They had money, like so much camera equipment just to like watch this woman, but they also had acting skills. Like they could change their personalities. They could make you believe whatever you wanted. They could make you see whatever you wanted to see, and that's a good villain right there. A chameleon. Someone who can stand out or who can blend in. But what they did to this girl was super believable. Like, I think the hallmarks of a good thriller is when something awful happens to our protagonist, and it does so realistically. Like, nothing's unbelievable. You can connect the dots by yourself as the reader, and that was done very well. Also, just kudos to Greer and Sarah, because I just always love their writing style. With me, thrillers, I want something really fast-paced, not a lot of descriptions, and they give me like the perfect amount. Like, nothing is too detailed, we're going really fast, but what they do describe, like, I feel it and I'm there and I'm seeing it, especially when they describe food. These books make me hungry. But even though I do think this is a pretty fast book, it helped that I thought it was enjoyable, but I can see where it's not enjoyable for others. Because for the first 150 pages, we're literally just watching this girl befriend the Moore sisters, or so we think. But we're really watching the Moore sisters play our girl Shay. But when I like a character, I don't mind just watching them knit or something. As long as we got like some good internal dialogue, monologuing, I'm happy. And I'm just gonna go ahead and go right into my last good point. I think my good points, my bad points will balance each other out. Last good point is actually the main reason why I like this book. I really personally related with Shay. Okay, editor, get the Lonely Man for the Incredible Hulk 1980 series on play, please. Do 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 do. That's it. Yeah, okay. I really related to Shay because me and her were like at the same point in our lives right now. Like, Shay is just so desperately lonely. She wants a friend. She wants a man. I'm just like, girl, I'll be your friend, but I can't because you're not real. I'm sorry. But Shay, like, I remember page 80, I was crying. Not like, I don't cry, I don't weep. I'm staring at the book and there's just tears running down my face, but there's no emotion. It's just like an instinctive thing. You get me? Because I'm just seeing this like reflection of myself, and she's just walking around, kicking the floor with her feet. She's like, what's wrong with me? Why don't people want to be with me? And she's comparing herself to other people, and I'm like, baby girl, I love you. You don't gotta change for no one. And I can see, because she was so easy for the Moore sisters to manipulate, because she was just so happy to have attention and friends. And like, that could be me one day. And additionally, she decides to get onto a dating website, which I literally, like a week before reading this, just canceled one of my dating websites because they're stupid. Like, they kept asking me for money. I had deleted my dating website, and the Moore sisters were talking to her via the dating website in disguise as a guy, so they were catfishing her, and I'm like, this could have been me. So yeah, don't go on dating websites, okay? Delete all forms of social media except YouTube. You need that. You need that. I read some Goodreads reviews, and some were like, oh, Shay's level of gullibility was just so unbelievable, and I'm like, no. There are some people out there who are just so lonely they can be that stupid, okay? Get off their back. So, me and my friend Shay, we besties. You mess with her, I'll claw your eyes out, okay? Cheers to Shay. But yeah, we'll admit she was kind of gullible. Like, I think the main thing I liked about this book is that for so long, like even to like the 200-page mark in this 300 and something page book, the main protagonist had no idea anything bad was going on. She was just living her life while the villains were working in the background, and I thought that was interesting. So we had good writing, good character, and a good villain. Good plot. However, there were 4 things that dropped this from a 5. And there will be some spoiler tags marked throughout this discussion. The first part is literally the ending. The ending really just kind of snuffed out. Like, you know, you got a candle and it's burning, then like it ended just like that. Very quick. But like leading up to the ending was great because there was a discussion between Shay and another person that made you think it was going to be a happy ending, but no, it wasn't going to be. It was a trick, so it made you like feel there was this build up. But then, like I said, it wasn't a build-up. It lied to me. Spoiler tag here, because I'm going to get right into the specifics of the ending. So if you guys read the book, you know that Detective Santiago called Shay and said, hey, can you just meet us at the subway where you saw, like, Amanda suicide herself? You know, just to, like, go ahead and talk about what you saw and stuff. She's like, okay, yeah, sure, hang up. Boop. But it wasn't Santiago. It was the actress Valerie pretending to be the detective, and she's really, you know, there to get Shay in one spot so she can kill her. So, okay, that could be interesting. But then Shay, being very smart, she's going to call the detective she actually knows and just like verify before she goes to the subway station that Santiago is a real person. So she does talk to the detective she knows. They're like, we don't have a Santiago. And like at that moment, you know like exactly how the book's going to end. There's going to be a police ambush. They're going to take Valerie away. Like the trick was good, but the fact that our character was smart and she did the right thing just kind of cheapens the climactic result, because as soon as you know that Shay knows, then you know how it's going to end. What I think should have been done was that you first had Santiago talking to Shay, then you had Shay saying, I'm not going anywhere until I call the detective I actually know, make sure this Santiago person is legit. Then the subway confrontation. I think we should have taken out that part where Shay calls the lady cop. So now we have subway confrontation over here, immediately following the Santiago phone call. Then we had the police ambush, and then we could have Shay say, oh yeah, I called the cops, before coming here because I'm smart. Then it would have been like a bigger pop. One other thing I did not like is, it's a thriller, there's clues, we have to put the clues together. But we're assuming what we're seeing is either true or half of a truth. Or a red herring, like it exists in the world, but it doesn't matter. And we've all heard of an unreliable narrator before. Usually that's someone that can't remember what happened, like the girl on a train. She was very drunk that night. Her events happened, so she couldn't remember. She was unreliable. She had blackouts. But in this book, we had a character, not like in dialogue, but in just the regular reading font, the internal monologuing, so your thoughts. She downright lied to us. Like, we're told this one thing, then a little bit later down the road, we're like, oh yeah, that part, no, I just lied about that. And she literally says that she did it for artistic license, but it wasn't a part of dialogue. She wasn't lying to someone. It was directly a lie to the reader. And that really just cheapened the feel of the reveal because we couldn't solve anything because it was a lie. I'm going to tell you the part I'm talking about right now in this spoiler. Okay, you gone? You gone? So it's the part where Valerie, the actress, she's talking about her roommate Ashley and how she'd stolen that acting part away from her. Then eventually this information got to the Moore sisters, and the Moore sisters basically ruined Ashley's life in revenge for taking Valerie's part. But then later on, when Valerie's revealed to be the villain, the eldest of the 3 Moore sisters, she's just like, oh yeah, I lied about that. I'm like, why did you lie about that? Because again, it wasn't a dialogue line. She wasn't lying to Shay or some other character. It was directly to the reader. It was in a backstory, so the backstory itself was a lie. You get what I'm saying here? The last 2 faults both revolve around characters. So first off, there's a group of friends, a circle of friends. One of the girls is named Daphne. Daphne had something horrible happen to her, and this group of women decided to hey, let's pay that guy a visit. And it ended in some bad things happening. The thing is, Daphne's issue becomes the main cover-up of this whole book. The Moore sisters are struggling to find a way to disassociate themselves, Daphne, all the other girls from what happened that night. However, Daphne is barely in the picture. She had 1 chapter, I think, from her point of view, and that's it. So, bad things happened to her. But I didn't care, because I don't know her. So yeah, that's a little weak point there. This book did have a lot of female characters, and they were kind of hard to keep track of who's who most of the time. And the drama with Daphne leads to something much, much bigger, which was a good shock, but it also wasn't at the same time. Because that leads to my next point, which is definitely a spoiler, and I need to read my notes off of my phone so I can summarize what I was feeling when I was reading this. So if you're hearing spoilers, we all know James. James is the guy who raped Daphne, and who was the stepbrother of Valerie. And at this point, it seemed just like a weird rabbit trail in the book. I'm like, can we get back to the main conflict, the Moore sisters, the framing of the crime on Shay? But no, Shay's just insistent on finding out what is this connection between Valerie and James, and she just digs deeper and deeper into it. And I wrote, the whole Valerie and James thing doesn't seem important. Then I literally flipped the next page where something was revealed, and wham, it was important. Because that's when it's revealed that Valerie is the eldest Moore sister, so there's not 2 Moore sisters, there's 3, and so James was also her stepbrother, and he was a nasty man. So the big twist in this book was that, yeah, there's not 2 Moore sisters, there's 3, and the eldest one is Valerie, the one who's been pulling the strings the whole time. But the thing is, throughout this whole book, you never get a sense that Valerie is remotely related or even close to the younger Moore sisters. I honestly didn't get a sense of connection between the 3 sisters. I'm sure it would make more sense on a reread, but not that first read. It wasn't hinted well at all. You couldn't solve it. Especially when Valerie, from her point of view, as mentioned in the other spoiler thing, she has a habit of lying directly to the readers. So you're not solving anything with her. So that, even though the Moore sisters, when they were by themselves doing their sneaky thing, they did it plausibly, realistically. However, this leap that Valerie is also a Moore sister, it didn't pay off well, because it wasn't believable. Maybe because there wasn't enough interaction, hints. It would have been a good twist if it was built up better. My favorite twist, though, was knowing that James was Trey. That was good. I like that one. So for the non-spoiler people, I'm just going to wrap up the things I did not like. How the ending just kind of like snuffed itself out, and how once you knew one thing leading up towards the ending, it ruined the climactic value of it. Also, this book kind of went above having unreliable narrators and had just like downright lies directly to the reader. Some of the women who were a part of the circle of friends who had awful things happen to them, and these things were like really important to the plot of the book. Like, yeah, they were awful things, but we didn't see the women enough to care about their characters, about them individually. So the stakes for them felt low. And also, one of the main plot twists just didn't pay off well because it wasn't built up properly, and there was no connection between the characters that you could solve for it. So while I do like this book, I'm probably not going to reread it. It's kind of a amalgamation of having a good main character but not that good side characters. Having a pretty drawn out book and then just a really sudden ending. With thrillers, you gotta nail that ending, man. That ending itself is a whole star, and it didn't have that. But that is my review for You're Not Alone, which is a kind of creepy title now in hindsight, because you're never alone. There's always a screen watching you, a camera, someone behind your door, never alone. So, check your doors twice at night, all that handy stuff. And to you I say farewell. Tell me your latest further reads and which one blew your socks off, and which one you just wanted to throw stinky socks at because it was that bad. Stay ready, my friends.